All right, Stanley. Thank you so much for joining us. I read your bio on air. You already know what's in your bio. So tell us stuff that's not in your bio.
Girl, I don't even know what's in my. You talk about a relationship specialist on mental health. I think I'm a mental health specialist. So, all right. So, what? Tell you something that's not in my bio. I love relationships. I absolutely love relationships. I think I have something about relationship specialists in there, but I love relationships. But one of the things that I don't think that's in my bio is I'm a romantic. I
Definitely not in
love
your bio. That was
I love
nowhere in there.
I love
Okay.
romance, right? I love romance at the highest level. See, a
Okay.
lot of times, yes, when people talk about this whole notion of relationships and they have this cookie cutter approach, that's not me. That's not me.
But a
That's definitely not
romantic,
me.
I wasn't expecting that.
Yeah, yeah. You said
Flowers
something
and
that wasn't
candy.
in a bio.
Yeah, but I'm saying, I know you, so I wasn't expecting the flowers, the candy. I know you're a nice guy. I know you're a fine, upstanding gentleman, but not a romantic. I wasn't expecting.
So let me give you an example, right? So Candice and Stanley dating, right? All of the other stuff. Everybody wants to do the candy, the flowers on the birthday, the Christmas, is
Mhm.
all all of those things, right? But whatever today's date is, imagine me coming to your office, right? And just saying, hey, let's go to lunch. And we go to lunch, let's say Maggiano's or something, right?
Mhm.
And you sit down and having lunch. By the time you get back to your office, you have 24 bouquet of flowers, your favorite kind. You have the best wine that you know. On top of that, you have your dessert sitting there waiting for you. You have the massage therapist sitting in your office with his table or her table already set up.
I'm with.
Yeah,
Oh,
that's what I'm talking about.
I'm
See,
through.
then you have the little
Yes.
lady on the little lady on the other side after massage, so you can get your nails and your manicure and your pedicure done. And then in some cases, some people may want to have their either hair washed or massage their head or something like that. So all of that's encompassed inside of that.
Just on a random Wednesday, just because.
Listen, it could be a random Wednesday, it could be a rainy Tuesday. I'm gonna give you another one. This one for free. This one for free. This one for free. When we talk about relationships and mental health, right?
Mhm.
And a lot of times in relationships, people have traumas. We talked about that before, just you and I, from past all of this other stuff. But I wonder if people ever got outside of themselves from holding on to the stuff in the past and really gave what they really felt, really gave what's deep inside of them. So let me give you that. So that was the Wednesday treat. So
Right.
the Tuesday treat, let's just say it's raining on Tuesday, right? So you had a long day. We on the phone, and I said, hey, if you don't mind, can you drop by the crib? Sure, no problem. You come
Okay.
by the crib. By the time you come to the crib, it is outlined in candles with
Okay.
the sensational smells that you love, whether it's candles, whether it's air fresheners, or whether the plug-in sockets or whatever, right?
Yeah.
Then you
Okay.
walk over to the kitchen and you have just a meal waiting for you with a handwritten card. Not
Oh,
a printed card,
old
but a
school.
handwritten card.
Old school. All right. You are like a romantic from way back.
Yeah, yeah, you gotta bring it, Candace.
Yeah.
Candace, you can't play with it,
Well,
right?
it definitely sounds like you're not playing. It's when you start talking about the effort and the intentionality in what you're doing,
That's
that
right.
is going to be felt and received. And I know you
That's right.
mentioned like, do people really give what they feel? I think it's that inability to be vulnerable. That
That's
fear.
it.
That
That's
fear that
it.
comes up, I would do this, but, and you saying you forget the but and you're just gonna do it.
That's right.
Hmm.
See, if you ever get outside of yourself for real, it'll scare the hell out of you.
Well, I'm gonna pause because I gotta make sure that everybody knows
Oh, okay.
Stanley is married,
Yeah.
happily married. Y'all gonna leave this man alone because you didn't just intrigue so many women. Now they gonna be, and don't look side at your husband because he shows his romance in his own way. I don't know your husband, but I know he does, in his own way. You're not gonna get 25 candles when you get home today.
Hold on, Candice. All right. So we're gonna keep it real in this podcast, right?
Yeah.
I want to talk to the women and the men today about this mental health and relationships, because I think, to your point, we don't want to be vulnerable. We don't. We just don't.
Not that we don't. I think it's almost that we can't. And again, you know, I'm not gonna make this a trauma podcast. Please forgive me, but trauma comes up in everything. I think when the trauma of our childhood makes it so that we are afraid to be vulnerable because we've been hurt. And so, you know, I used to joke and say, can you please bring me to that girl at 13 years old who hurt you so I can go and tell her to apologize so we could be happy? Because she can't keep coming up in our relationship. But I think it's that sense of vulnerability that you did fully give of yourself and got either rejected or.
Now, here's the thing, though. Ooh, this about to get good. Here's the thing. The person that you are about to give to have to be able to handle your weight.
Yes.
If they can't handle your weight, then it's not going to work, right? So you asked me, I think you asked me before something about how did I become a relationship specialist? Look, I went through hell and high water. I went through it all, right? I went through everything, from the horrible relationships to the great relationships. Well, inside of that, I'm a studier at heart. So I study, right? I study my habits, other people's habits, on and on and on. Well, what happened is I started realizing is I was holding on to things from yesteryear, and I never fleshed them out. Here's the other side of that. In my growth, as I'm growing, you begin to see more and more things, right? So in that scenario, if I'm growing and the other person is not growing, they can't handle your weight. If I'm growing and the other person don't want to participate, they can't handle your weight.
Now now you're getting in a sticky place, because especially when we choose to get married and walk through life with somebody, our growth are not always going to be at the same level.
That's right. That's absolutely right.
So that's always careful, because sometimes, you know, I can love us enough to wait for you till you catch up.
Right. Now you talk about sticky points, because I know I'm talking to the doctor now. So let me go ahead on and get to my doctor's points.
Okay, go ahead. Let me sip while you do that. Go ahead.
That is correct, right? Now I'm going to say this from my standpoint. What you're saying is correct, but that's the textbook definition. But what I'm speaking to is to those men and women that want to hold on to those relationships, but that other person is not growing, not wanting to grow, not having the opportunity to grow.
Yeah, I always put that yet on it, because I think, and this is just part of this is personal, has nothing to do with research, nothing. I think that the only research is that we have too many divorces. And I think that is because most people don't understand the level of commitment it takes. And so I often use.
Oh, Doc, I got to argue with you. Can I argue with you?
No, not yet. Let me finish.
Okay. All right.
Because once I say this, then you're going to argue with me, but I'm still going to win. When we talk about love, I use the definition from the Bible, First Corinthians. Love is patient. And a lot of times we're impatient. Now go ahead and argue with me.
All right. Now you said, I want to make sure I'm clear. You said that for love, you use 1 Corinthians 13.
Yes.
That's right?
Yes.
And that's wonderful. What happens if the person don't know the Bible?
It doesn't matter if you know the Bible, because God is love, and so you don't have to adhere to my Christian values. You don't even have to be a Christian. You don't have to know what I know to get where we're going, because as long as you understand, as long as I understand it, I can wait for you.
Right. But how long do you wait?
So
you got to remember, you have to be equally yoked. I can love Candice, right? I can love you and love you and love you. But if we're not equally yoked, and the second part of that, if God didn't put us together, it's still not going to work.
Okay, so now that foundation, I am giving that as an assumption that we are equally yoked, that we are that we're equally yoked and that God put us together. But we are in different ages of our lives. And so, I've been with my husband for over 20 years. If we start to say, well, I'm growing in this direction and you not growing with me, well, there were times when you was running and I was crawling and you carried me on your back.
Right. That's
and,
right.
and vice versa. And so I think that a lot of times people will give up on a relationship versus saying, let me go back, let me backtrack, because that's my partner, that's my person, that's who God told me to walk through life with. Let me go back, let me wait for him.
You'll keep pointing all of that. You said God told you.
Yes.
That everything else, it don't matter. Everything else doesn't matter.
Well,
right?
well, that part, I often think of that as that's a no-brainer. That's not even a question. Now, if God didn't put y'all together and you just trying to hold on, let Jamal go, because that wasn't for you anyway. And I think that was your point. Your point was,
here's the point. How do you know if Jamal is not that person or not, right? So when you first go to, and we talk about relationships and mental health, because this is going to get to that piece. If you go to the actual altar, right? Number one, as you know, you have to go whole.
Yes.
Now this is going to go into your trauma. How many people go to the altar whole?
Again, I don't know the statistics on it, but I'm going to say it's got to be low because the divorce rate is high. I think most people plan a wedding and they don't plan a marriage. Most people are really looking forward to the party. And you can have a party. You could put on a beautiful gown. He can put on a tuxedo. We don't have to get married. You don't have to do that. And I will come and I will dance. And if you have a box for cards, I'll put one in there for you. You don't have to get married to have a party. Invite me to your party. I'm coming. I like to dance. I'm coming. We don't have to do this because marriage is a biblical concept. So
well, what about the Quran?
Oh, well, yes, I'm sorry. It is a faith-based concept.
Exactly.
Faith-based. I'm sorry, and I didn't want to exclude that. It's multiple religions, but marriage is based on faith.
Yeah, I don't want to get into that. That's a whole separate podcast.
Separate topic.
Let's
go back to that. The whole thing you're talking about being mentally whole. How, as a relationship expert, how do you help people know if they're mentally whole and ready to be in a relationship?
Right. I always ask questions, right, to see what trauma, believe it or not, what trauma they have been through. And then as we walk through those questions, as you know, it's a telltale sign. It's a bright light. It's like, whoa, you're not ready for this. Because I think you heard the podcast, but I did a podcast on Have You Ever Made Love?
I heard it. I highly endorse it. Anybody who's listening, please listen to it.
Yeah. And when you're talking about that, how many people literally come to the altar with their, as I like to say, with their hot dog in their hand or with their bun in their hand, right? And you're going, because you're thinking like, oh, she is just as fine or he is just as fine. And y'all going to have drunk sex the rest of y'all life. And it's going to be great. And you're going to, swing from chandeliers all the time. Here's the caution. What substance are you bringing to that table?
Right.
And most people don't bring the substance to the table until it's 5 years later, 10 years later.
See, I thought you was going to caution that you're going to get old and them bones going to creak and them chandeliers swinging. I thought that was going to be your caution. Because I got to say that if that is the reason you're getting married, don't.
Absolutely.
Please don't. Because, I mean, you can have mind-blowing sex for 30, 40, 50 years. I don't know.
But wait, before we get to sex. Before we get to sex.
I see I'm jumping ahead because I know where you... Let me back up. Go ahead.
No, it's fine. But before we get to sex, Candice, as you know, can you sit on that sofa or in that chair with your significant other and make love without taking your clothes off, without grinding? Can you have an experience at that next level because y'all are so connected?
And see, I often will frame it as I am love. And so I don't have to do much. Like I exude it. It is part of my being. And so it's going to flow through me in everything that I do. I think sometimes people try too hard, and I love the romance and I'm here for it. But, just being, like you're saying, can I just sit on the sofa and be? I don't have to do anything. and you
But
feel
here's the
love
thing.
transferring between us? And
That's right.
the answer is yes.
I mean, yes, you may be one of the very few on a planet, but all of the people I've talked to, coached, mentored, all of those other things, believe it or not, it is far and few in between. Listen to this. Listen to this. This is really, really good. I've spoke to a 70-year-old woman, or was it 73? Whatever, 70-year-old woman.
Mm-hmm.
She told me, Stanley, I've never made love. Now, I'm not talking about in the context.
I know what you meant. No, I know what you mean. I know exactly what you mean. And that makes me pained for her.
Yeah. I spoke to a 60-year-old man. Mm-hmm. The exact same thing. Now, why am I bringing these two individuals up? Not to highlight them, but it's to highlight the challenges. Because when I spoke to the 70-year-old woman, as I continue to communicate, she has mental health issues, right? She has some trauma and some things that's there that she told me out of her mouth. I've never been 100% with somebody.
And that's what happens is not only the fear of vulnerability that you put the walls up, so you've never been 100%, it just blocked you in. And so she's never been able to receive the love that she deserves. She never gave it, but it didn't return back to her. So, and that makes me sad for her.
Right. So in that 100%, right? So we have to be mentally healthy.
So how did you coach either one of them to the next level? Because I know that's what you do as a relationship expert. You coach them to that next level. What was your advice to her?
Well, the first thing was you got to be honest with yourself.
Mm-hmm.
And she wasn't being honest with herself. Everything was wrong with everybody else, but she never looked inwardly, right? Mm-hmm. Now she has some gook and some stuff that she has to get out. But if she don't want to get it out, she's gonna die, or whatever your woman that has never made love, have never experienced true love.
Right.
I'm talking about that purity of love.
Right. I know what you mean. Exactly.
That walking in that power. You know, when you hug your husband, right, or your wife, and you hug them.
Mm-hmm.
I know I'm getting a little too emotional or deep with this, but I want to make this point. And you hug them, and you feel the transfer of peace.
Yes.
Sit down on that location. You know what pure love is.
Yes.
When that individual walks into your office or into your room or into the house or to the restaurant, whatever, and immediately you see them, you feel something deep on the inside starts to wake up, right? Here's what's going on. Most people don't get to that point because they still stuck with that 13-year-old girl or guy that hurt their little feelings, and they never move forward.
Right.
I'll say for me, what I like to do is dig all the way to the root, get to that cause, heal that cause, and watch the tree then begin to blossom.
Do you recommend therapy to some of your clients? I know
all the time. Okay. All the time.
I know sometimes, like as a coach, a relationship expert and a coach, you can do so much, but sometimes the root is generational.
It's absolutely generational. Mm-hmm. So like for me, like I've had trauma from way back in yesteryear. Mm-hmm. Because this person did this, so they thought that was right, and then that person and that person and that person and that person, and then you get to me, you're like, something wrong with all y'all. Here's another thing. Since we're gonna be transparent, I know you talk about mental health. I want to talk about how I was able to push through mine, mm-hmm. right? When you talk about the mental health side. And a lot of people think when you say mental health, that you're thinking about something harsh. It don't necessarily have to be harsh. So when I was 6, I was raped, right? Now, that was my root cause. Now, Candice, if I never addressed that would fester in me for decades.
Right.
And guess what? It did. I became anger. I was bitter. On and all these other stuff, right? I had a temper. I mean, just foolishness going on. Here's the thing.
I'm gonna pause. That wasn't foolish. Anger is probably the best tool we have to protect us.
Oh yeah, absolutely.
Yes, I'm not gonna say it was foolish. It was the smartest thing you could do because it's the only thing. It was your weapon. You're like, okay, this world is dangerous. I gotta protect myself. Anger works.
Yeah, because as we like to say, we put up all these walls, right? All
Mm-hmm.
these walls was just to protect yourself,
Right.
which goes back to vulnerability. Because if you ever become vulnerable again, in some cases it makes you nervous or a little fearful. Because is somebody else gonna hurt me again?
Right.
You
Right.
know what I mean? So when I was digging through all of that, I literally took about 7 years to go all the way back to that particular day.
Mm-hmm.
Once it was addressed, I did something called anchoring. I removed all of that negativity, that sting, the power to pull me down. All of that was removed, and I beginning to fill it in with positive things, positivity, greatness, love, passion, or creativity, on and on and on. That's what we did. And then that began to give me the fuel to move forward. So when you talk about the mental health inside, a lot of times people don't want to address the actual health of their mentality.
Right.
And
Right.
then they don't want to see you. They damn sure ain't come and see me because I'm raw with it. So it's kind of like,
Right. And they probably need both of us. The reality
right.
is, you need multiple ways of healing those type of issues for you to be healthy in a relationship.
Yeah,
So like you mentioned,
absolutely.
how many people are coming to the altar completely whole? And we don't know I don't know the statistics. I don't know if you do.
You trying to give statistics. Let me give the black person facts.
Okay, give me
Most of y'all Negroes done came to the altar not whole, not even close to being whole, because you're still talking about what your mama did and your grandmother did and your grandfather and your dad and how you supposed to feed a man, and that's the way to their heart and all of this other craziness and
Now
blah,
that's
blah,
not
blah.
crazy. Now look. I love
Listen,
a good meal
Candy,
too. Feed a
I can
person.
cook. You know I can cook. You
You
can
know, I'm
cook
just
all of
saying,
them.
feed a person. Now we're not gonna stop these people from feeding us because we love it. You ain't gonna take my food, but you're not gonna probably get my heart. But you will get me to come back and sit down and get another plate.
Yeah, you can come back and get another plate, but
Mm-hmm.
that's not gonna get your heart.
No. But I think that's what the point of those kind of things that make problems in relationships is that people get used, and then that goes back to the side. Like I tried and I gave this man and I cooked for him, and then he still played me. Well, you really wasn't trying. That was just surface. And
Right.
yes, you can cook well enough, and I will come to your house every day and sit there and put my feet under your table. No problem. I'm not promising love.
Right.
You promising food. I'm promising I'm gonna eat it. And I think
That's
we
right.
mistake those things for love. Like he come here every night when he needs to lay down. Well, yeah, because he's homeless.
That's right. He needs to lay down. I
You,
need to get some. I'm
yeah,
scratching my itch. Let me
yeah,
scratch my itch. I'm gonna make it the best of all time. And
right.
then in the morning, I'm gonna get up.
Uh-huh.
I'm gonna ask you for $20.
$20. I thought it was the going rate was 40.
I'm gonna just ask for 20. I don't even need 40. I just need 20.
It's 2022. We need more money. All right. So you said you're going to talk to the men and the women, right? So we talked about, as far as coming in the relationship whole, and I might be biased. I'm going to admit it because I'm a woman. I think women are really great at expressing their emotions. And I'm going to say men not so much. Now you can argue with me.
Ooh, I'm gonna argue with you on that one. Ooh.
Argue with me. But speak to your experience as a relationship expert as far as men expressing their emotions. And then you could tell me women ain't good at it either, and I'll take that.
Yeah, men, believe it or not, in my opinion, men are more sensitive than women.
No, I agree with you 100%. That's why I
Yeah,
think y'all have two emotions y'all show though.
yeah. I think men are more emotional than women.
Mm-hmm.
And the reason I say that is because a man, how would I say it? A man, if he gets hurt one time in a relationship, that's it. Everybody else cut off.
Mm-hmm.
Now he learns how to maneuver through the pain to get what he wants. But to be that true and pure self, he never gets back to that point because I may run across another Candice or Walene or whoever, right? And you run across those people, well, they hurt me when I was younger. When I'm 20, when I'm 30, I'm still holding that bag because, she didn't pick me up at the movies on time or whatever. It may be something
Right.
foolish.
Right.
But they never allow their heart back out. Never allow the heart back out. Right.
And so how can you be in a relationship if your heart isn't out? So you're saying almost like a narcissist. He's moving through it's all about him, and he can do nice things for you if it benefits him.
Well, he can do nice things for you just to make it seem like everything is normal.
Because that benefits him.
Well, it could benefit him, but it also benefits her, right? So yeah. in that scenario, because he's hiding himself, his pure self, but he really likes you, but he's afraid to unlock that key to show you his pure, true self.
Okay.
So he'll do all kinds of things for you. He'll cry with you. He'll lay down with you, all of the stuff. But to get to that pure, untouched, unhindered self, he's not going to do it. Here's the other piece. Ladies, listen to this. Allow your significant other, if you really liking him or digging him or feeling him, whatever the cute adjective is, you have to have the weight to carry his burden so he can lay down and rest.
You saw me breathe? I'm gonna let you say that, but I'm gonna,
you don't want to talk about that. It's okay.
I'm gonna just breathe on it, and I'm gonna let you say that. No, oftentimes, especially, social media loves to say, well, ladies, be his peace because he's out there fighting the world. And I love it, except for the fact that we live in the same world and we go out to the, same time, fight the same things. And so,
well, let me share this. Let me share this. I'm with you. I understand. But see, you putting up your walls and you ready to fight because he said, ladies, be at peace. Well, let me say it this way. That's not what I'm referring to.
No, I heard you saying that be able to let him put down his burdens and be strong enough to carry the weight. I think the issue I was taking with it is I'm carrying my own stuff.
Hold on. I'm going to get to that. See?
Okay, well, get to that. Okay, let me.
Right there, you're fighting. Hold on. I'm not even going against that. Hear me clearly when I say this. Men, right? You already know the stuff men go through. We already know the stuff women. Let me be even more specific. You know what black men go through, and you know what black women go through.
Yes.
Let me just be 100 with it, right? I'm not saying I don't carry your weight with you, Candice. That's not what I'm saying.
Okay, that's what I needed you to say clearly because I didn't hear it.
Here is what I'm saying, right? In this relationship, because I'm already getting beat half silly about everything that's going on in the world, just because of my skin, when I come home, it has to have such a peace inside the home. It has to have such love inside the home. So when I do come home, and I'm gonna be graphic with you, and I do come home, and I just want to lay on your chest. So I put my knees underneath your butt. I pull you close to me, and I lay my head on your chest to let all burdens go because I am safe. I'm home. I'm with my boo. I'm with my baby, whatever you want to say, and allow that peace to remove all challenges of that day. Now, I'm not saying you got to do that every day and, No,
but I like your graphic. I think once you describe the graphic, because once you said, I put my knees under your butt, that means I'm supporting you and you're supporting me. And there's that mutual relationship that I was looking for me to hear. And I didn't hear it the first time. 100% on board. That's why you're a relationship expert.
That's why you're the doc. That's why
you're the relationship expert, right? Because the reality is, if you say it in a certain way, like I said, like the be his peace, what you're gonna get is resistance from the woman because she's fighting her own battles, and you're gonna get a man who seems to not understand his responsibility in it. Like, a lot of times, again, these social media debates, y'all need to be our peace without saying, and we need to be your support. And it's a balance.
But here's the thing. I'm speaking at another level. Those children are what you're dealing with. I'm talking about grown ass men and women, right? So in that, I can go down to that level and deal with them and all of that stuff, but they're not ready for love. They're not ready for that. They still dealing with other stuff.
Right.
Candice is ready for that. Stanley is ready for that. Go ahead.
Okay, so let me ask you this. Do you think once you're ready for it, it comes and you don't have to go and search for it?
It's gonna come knock at your damn door. Boo, 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 boo. Here I am. Here I am. See, I articulated something called a confidant to someone, right? And we're just explaining some stuff in a confidant. And in 4 minutes, I explained the confidant. If I could find the audio, I'll share it with you. Yeah. But it went so deep to where my boy and my girl hit me up. It was like, dog, can you put this on wax or something? No, it's not for wax, right? Mm-hmm. Because everybody can't even receive it. Right. Because I don't say everybody, most people are so shallow to what we're talking about, they don't even comprehend it. So it's like it's not even said. I'll share it with you, but inside of that, right. And you talking about dealing with my own emotions, or helping men or women deal with their emotions, right? Once we get beyond the hurt of yesteryear, and once we get beyond all of the foolishness and try to be in the societal norms and really become that true, authentic person, mm-hmm. Then you begin to see the attraction. I also talk about attraction. Don't become a repellent, become an attraction. How do you become an attraction? You begin to remove all of the negative stuff out of you, and then people begin to see your light, and that light begins to become an attraction for those people that you're looking for.
Okay, wait. We got to pause because that was deep, and I think that a lot of people don't recognize that because they're doing that surface. You know, they're thinking I need to go get my hair fixed, I need to get my lashes done, I need to pay makeup artists, and by the time they have done all of that, not that it, you know, and those things are beautiful and wonderful, and you know, I'm not saying anything negative against those things, but sometimes they're still not attractive. You know, they're not getting they're not creating that attraction that you're talking about because the light is internal. Has nothing to do with the external self.
It has nothing. Here's the thing. Why we put on makeup?
For myself?
Not you.
I was going to say exactly, no, but I'm saying exactly for myself to cover up the thing. You know, it's almost like a little trickery, you know, look here so you don't look there.
Yeah. Right. But it's to cover blemishes.
Yeah.
Right?
Yeah.
But if you ever came to the altar naked, yeah, let's get to it. If you ever came to the altar naked,
that would be
you will see either how much work you need to do or how much you attract people.
Right.
So for an example, how many people have came, not to you, Candice, this is for the audience. How many people have ever came up to you out of thin air and just say a compliment to you? Listen, I don't know what's going on with you, but I see the glow or the light or the power or the whatever, you know, some people want to make it all spiritual and spooky. It's not that. But they
some people will creep you out a little bit depending on how they do it. It's like, oh, what you see?
Because your beauty, like God gave you this physical beauty. But when you do that work, internally it comes out and you become more beautiful.
Yes.
Now, it is just what it is. Like, it's hard to articulate it, but that light starts to shine. It's like it removes all of the dust and that light starts to glow. And then that becomes an actual attraction for people because they see the work that you've done. Right. And in my world, like I like to say, they see God in you. They see the glory of him flowing through you.
So I believe the same thing.
It becomes an attraction.
I say the same thing. Not, you know, obviously in the therapy world, I can't say it as bluntly as you say it, but I say the same thing. And I think that's the most important part is when we start talking about mental health and relationships is that part of you which has been damaged by the world or whatever has happened. And some of it might just be biological. So we're going to be honest. Not everybody who has a mental health issue has a trauma. Some of us are genetically predisposed to having mental health issues. It's part of your DNA. It has run in your family. Sometimes we will not frame it as a mental health issue. We would say, you know, maybe your grandmother was she was different, and then your auntie was eccentric. And now because you're the first one to go get treatment, have a mental health diagnosis. You have schizophrenia or bipolar disorder.
Wait, I got something for you. So if I remember correctly, one of the questions you had asked before was about, is it possible to love someone else if you never loved yourself?
Yes.
So as the doctor, as the expert, I'm gonna give you the clinical side. Let me ask you this, in that same vein, if you're not 100% with yourself, do you even know yourself?
So I think there's a multi levels to that answer, but the answer is if you're not 100% with yourself, then no, you don't know yourself. The first question I always ask, anybody on my podcast is, who are you? Tell me something not on your bio. A lot of people stumble. A lot of people trip because they aren't 100% sure who are they. If you took away my degrees, if you took away, I know who I am as a person. Those are things I accomplished, and that's wonderful. And that's great. I know me.
I got one for you.
Go ahead.
I got one for you. If you ask somebody, who are you? Right? Like you said, and they'll say their name, like you say their degree.
Oh, I won't let you do that because I'm gonna tell you, nope, that's not it. It's a little thing that annoys people, but I say, no, your mama picked that. And that's not who you are. That's just who we call you. You can go change that tomorrow.
See, if I say who I am, I'm a child of God. I'm here placed on earth to empower other people, to lift them up, and to bring them back closer to the Creator himself, if they so willing and choose to do that. See, that's who I am, right? When you bring that power to the forefront. But here's the thing, let me pause. You're giving me a lot of accolades, and I appreciate that, sis, truly. But let me be clear. I didn't start this way. Let me run this down. Can I for a second?
Yes.
Let me run this down to your audience, right? When I started, remember I said when I was 6, I got raped. I went through high school, did all of the quote unquote things you're supposed to do, and all of these accolades and blah, blah, blah. But in all of those accolades, I still felt empty. I got married, went through all of that, good, bad, or indifferent. We got divorced. I still felt empty. I didn't become who I am until I put in the work for me to be genuinely happy. So as I began to walk through this thing called life, I went through the police department. That has its own trauma. Right? Left there, I worked for a multi-billionaire. That has its own trauma. And I'm saying trauma, but that's true what it was. It's all kind of trauma.
No, work trauma.
And then I realized I was not being authentically Stanley. I was doing everything that society said I should do. I should go get a job, have insurance, get a wife, have 2.5 kids, a dog with a white picket fence, and I'm supposed to live like that for the next 40 years, knowing internally I was miserable doing that. My question that I ask people a lot is, are you truly happy? Do you have joy at what you do? If you don't, we need to readjust and figure out what it is that brings you to that place. And once I made that decision, Candice, then you started seeing the negativity and the darkness and all of that stuff start to fall off of me, to where then I began to become a light and attract things that I wanted to me and repel things that's not for me. That's when greatness started to show up. So when people see that, it's
I think a lot of people see the end product and they don't see the journey, and that's okay. If you think I woke up a fully grown adult with no, who didn't try, that's your thought, but it does affect relationships because sometimes people, they make an image of you, and it's not who you really are. Like, I know who I am. And I always joke and say, you can't tell me nothing about me because I know me. I do self-reflection constantly. I'm always, but sometimes people will tell you who you are.
Yeah.
And they're totally incorrect, and it gets in the way of the relationship because they have decided. One thing that always comes on to me is that I'm stuck up. Now, anybody who knows me, they know not at all. Never. Couldn't.
Well, they see the little cute chick with the pretty hair and the pretty face and all this other stuff, and put together, sophisticated, and then they're like, oh, she's stuck up. How you figure that? Because what she is doing is being a mirror and reflecting what your wife could look like if you got yourself together.
Nah.
Now let me go on and step into
Okay,
that.
we're gonna back up. We're gonna back up though, because we were talking about loving yourself, and like that part is so important, because when you enter in a relationship, there are gonna be tests, no matter what. You know, how even the healthiest relationship, there's gonna be tests, and that to that point of like people trying to tell you who you are. In that relationship, the test will test who you are as a person. Am I generous? I might tell you I'm generous, but a relationship is going to require me to be generous. And that test will come. And if I'm not, I have just, misrepresented myself. That will end the relationship. Am I really honest? When you ask me, did you go shopping today? I'm going to stay silent. I'm not going to answer online or in person, because I didn't go nowhere. I didn't leave the house.
Right.
So those kind of things happen in a relationship, and knowing yourself is so important. But knowing yourself is important for mental health. It's one of the first things I try to get people to do because they will come and say, I am depressed. You are not depressed. Right. You will be experiencing depression. That is a state of experience. That is a state of circumstances. It is not who you are. If you are depressed, you can't change.
Yeah.
Nothing you can do about it. Right? You may as well just leave my office. But if you come in here and you are you, and whoever you are, figure out who that is, that's what we're going to use to get you out of this depression. Mm-hmm. That's what we're going to get you to move you to the next level, is your knowledge of self. It's the most important thing in relationships and in mental health. So it kind of goes for both.
Right. And then you talk about also being with somebody that have mental health or mental challenges.
So I'm looking at the time, but I also want to ask you this question. Would you ever recommend to a person to not get in a relationship with somebody because of their mental health issue? Would you ever say that person, like it's early on and they disclose they have a mental health issue? Would you ever recommend that they pause and not pursue that relationship?
I would actually have to see who the person is. Mm-hmm. Because some people can handle it, like you said at the beginning, some people can handle that weight, others can't. Okay. Right? If somebody is surfacey and really don't know who they are, hey man, you need to pause, or hey lady, you need to pause on that. You're not ready for this, right? So that's one side. But then they may have somebody that's well accomplished, well accomplished and well versed in how to handle that, but also well solidified and solid on themselves. Mm-hmm. Then they may be able to handle that weight. So I don't recommend anything until I know who the person is. Okay. And then I may not even recommend. We may go through a series of questions and allow them to make that choice, because I don't believe I can make a choice on somebody else, right? Mm-hmm. So I may see something, but I may be like my daughter, I may be like Lauren, and she may be like, Daddy, you think I should date him? I might go through a series of questions and let her make that final determination.
So even for your children, you wouldn't say run. That person has a serious mental illness, run.
Nah, I wouldn't.
And I like that your advice doesn't change. Because, sometimes as professionals, our advice changes when it's our children. And I like that you're saying, nope, my advice doesn't change. Even if it was my own child, I'm going to give the same process. It's not advice. Yeah, I'm going to show you who you are. And if you're able to handle it, you make the decision for yourself.
That's absolutely right. I'm not going to force my opinion onto someone else, because we will never know all of the full details. Right. Even if they say they told you everything. Right. Yeah, let's talk this thing through. All right. So at the end, this is what it is. What's your decision? Oh, I want to do this. I'm with you. Mm-hmm. I'm with you.
And the reality is, that's if you're lucky enough that the person that you got in a relationship had already known that they have a mental health issue, possibly been diagnosed and getting appropriate treatment, that you're able to somebody's able to tell you that. A lot of times in a relationship, you're not even sure what's happening if you're in a relationship with a person who has a mental health issue. It's kind of like you start seeing signs that something is not necessarily right, and that person may not know themselves well enough to know that they're experiencing a mental health issue. They may think that's just me. That's just how I am.
Right. That's true. Yeah. And a lot of people do that. And it's like, no, you're not. You have no clue of who you are. And what is this that nobody don't want to go see a counselor
Well,
or a professional?
that's what I'm trying to change. But I think a lot of times is that people are afraid of the information. They're like, I don't want that person and to tell me I have this thing. For all my clients, I always tell them, I just gave you a word to what you were already experiencing. I didn't give you anything. So I don't give any diagnosis. I tell you what you tell me what you're experiencing, and I will tell you what that's called. Right. So if I told you I had, a stick of butter and 2 eggs and some flour and some sugar, and I mixed that all together and I put it in the oven and I baked it, you would say I made a
cake.
Right. So I would say, well, I didn't tell you I made a cake. I just told you all of the ingredients. You told me that's a cake. That's exactly what happens in mental health. You come tell me all the ingredients and I say, oh, wait, that's called depression. Everything you just told me is called depression. Everything you just told me is called anxiety, or whatever the appropriate title for whatever you're experiencing. But I don't give you those ingredients. You came in with those things.
Right. I think one of the things that you do extremely well for, and I know people are gonna be like, oh, that's your girl, so you're gonna blow her up. No, this real talk. Everybody listening, I'll share this with you guys. Whether it's 1 million people or 45 people, it doesn't matter. Most of us need some level of counseling, a coach, or a professional to discuss and converse with, just because of the traumas that most Black people have been through. That's real talk. One of the things that I want to suggest to your audience is for them to actually contact you to set up at least 2 sessions. Let me share with you why I say to set up 2 sessions, right? Is because once you dig into a session with Candice, you're going to see she's not that typical sit on the sofa or sit in a chair and da-da-da. Okay, your time is up. Goodbye. It's a soft landing to your deepest fear. And in your deepest fear, once you allow that to come out, you will see how that's going to help you more. So when I share with people, or give advice to people or share, you should go see this person or that person, it's for a reason. I don't give recommendations all the time. This time I will give a recommendation, because just 2 sessions, and after 2 sessions, you will see the difference in talking to her than talking to yourself in the bathroom. You will see the difference between talking to her and in the shower crying. And I'm gonna address the Christian folks. I'm gonna address the church folks all at the same time. Stop saying Jesus gonna fix everything when he's telling you to go to a counselor or a specialist like Candice, and you sitting up there and saying, oh, I'm gonna pray about it, it's gonna be fine. Sometimes you need a physical presence to help you walk through those things. So schedule 2 appointments, just twice. And if after those 2 times she don't do what she's supposed to do, move on. But I'm telling you, those 2 times is gonna make a world of difference. This is not for she needs to make money. She's doing well. I promise you, she's doing well. Let me share this with you. We're not here taking our time up to do a podcast to sell something. It's to make you whole. Because if you look at what's going on in the world, we've had how many shootings in the last few weeks, right?
Right.
2, 3, 4 shootings just in America. The last one was the last one I think was in Texas, right? Yeah. If nothing don't happen today, but the last one was in Texas. And I think it was like 19 people dead. Are you telling me y'all don't need to talk to somebody? Man, get out of here with that foolishness and stop listening to the Facebook or the social media or therapists when they don't have a clue.
Okay, listen, now you didn't just say the word. I'm gonna pause you on that because I have to do a whole podcast on that one.
Oh,
stop listening to the social media therapist.
Yes, go to Candice. Get your 2 appointments. Book your 2 appointments, and when you go all in just for those 2 times. And you will see the difference. I promise you're going to see the difference.
And so I'm one person. I can't see everybody, but please reach out to therapygys@gmail.com and I will point you in the direction of where you need to be. Stanley, we're getting ready to wrap up. I want you to give us a takeaway because we talked about so much and we could keep talking, but give us a takeaway.
How many people blessings are attached to you? If you fail, then how many people behind you fail? Here's why I gave my personal quote, is because if you're carrying things all around every single day, you're not giving your best self. And you're going to miss things because you're not giving your best self. And if somebody really needs to talk to you and you're not giving your best self, that may be their last day on earth. Let's be 100. And I'll give you an example of that. I have a frat brother that literally told me, he said, I'm telling you, Stanley, I was going to take my life today. He said, but you literally showed up when we were talking. You were not doing 700 things, and we began to talk. And he said, that literally helped me take the next step to the next day. From that day forward, now he is, I'm not going to give all this information, but he's doing something high level. Believe me, high level. He has a significant other. He has a great house, vehicles, all of those things what society say he's been successful. But it all started on that particular day when he said, Stanley, I was about to end it. I was done. I had the bullet picked out. I had cleaned the weapon, everything. I was ready to move.
And I think you make a powerful point in the end, is that we talked a lot about relationships, just talking about romantic relationships, but this is applicable to all relationships we have as humans, and seeing someone truly being there for somebody can make a big difference in their life. So we're going to end on that. But before we go, anything you want to promote, tell people how to get in touch with you. I know they already know. And make sure you plug your podcast, and we're going to go ahead and get out of here.
Listen, first of all, Candice, thank you again, sis. We're going to do a few more of these podcasts. I don't know if your audience ready, but we're going to listen.
We're going to be ready for you, Stanley, but we love it anyway. I don't think the world could ever be ready.
we coming, baby. We coming. So listen, guys, there's a couple things that I'm actually doing. First of all, I've been speaking. So if you want to hear me speak, whether it's a church, whether it's a youth organization, whether it's a business, it doesn't matter. What it's about relationships, whether to come in as an expert on a panel, all of that is fine. Just reach out to me. I'm going to give you my general email, stanley_d02@gmail.com. STANLEY, D as in David, 02@gmail.com. I can speak on whatever, everything from the police all the way to sex. It doesn't matter. We can get it all in. The podcast is hot. Let's talk with Stanley Doucette. I sure hope you're ready, because I don't hold punches on the podcast. we don't hold podcasts. So go to Let's Talk with Stanley Doucette, and just check us out. If you like it, subscribe, share, whatever you want to do. I certainly appreciate it. For Candice's to give her recommendation, I'm gonna just give y'all one to listen to. We talked about it in this podcast. It is Have You Ever Made Love? Just check it out.
All of your episodes are interesting, but definitely I'm recommending that one because it's a powerful concept and everybody needs to hear it. So thank you so much for being my guest.
One last thing, I just want to say this. In my business, I'm over 6 businesses. So this is the one thing though. We have built a platform called Hotshot Mall. It's online shopping. It's Black owned. We have about, 6,000-7,000 products already on there. Go to hotshotmall.com and just go shop. I would suggest going to the trendy section. Your products are guaranteed to get there between 3 to 5 days. So there you are.
Well, let me go. I need to shop. So let's go.
Yeah, let's go. Let's go.